It took me 10 years to get diagnosed with endometriosis, so I thought it was about time that I spoke about my journey on YouTube to give you all a little bit of an idea of my journey if you're going through it yourself and you might be looking for advice from somebody. I know when I was first going through my diagnosis, I was reaching out to anybody who spoke about it openly on social media, and the only person that I could really find at that time was a girl that I went to school with. I didn't really find anybody else to be open and honest to speak about it, and I found that really hard because I wasn't too sure if I was feeling things that were normal or if they weren't normal. So I thought that I'd finally speak about this on YouTube. I am very honest and open about my endo over on my Instagram, which I'll leave down below. Every time I get a symptom or my period comes, I always document it on my story. I'm thinking hopefully in 2026 I'll also do this on my TikTok as well as my YouTube as well, because I do want to raise as much awareness about it as possible. I don't want anyone to feel alone. It's a very lonely place sometimes. You sometimes feel like you've got the whole world on your shoulders, and I just want you to know that you're not alone in this. Before we get started, I do just want to say that I have had the awful flu that's been going around. I do really sound bunged up, but I thought, you know what, it's not an excuse to film this video. I am going to be filming this video today. You might just have to bear with me a little bit, but I'm going to be going through everything in terms of like my journey, my diagnosis, how I got diagnosed, what I'm doing now, anything like that. I'm going to go through it all. I've actually written a lot of things down on my phone. I'm going to answer, and I'm going to be sipping my matcha as we go along. Okay, first things first, my name is Libby. I am 26 years old and I got diagnosed with endometriosis when I was 25 years old. I got diagnosed at the end of 2024, which is crazy to say now because we're in January 2026, but I actually went to the doctors with period pains when I was about 14, 15. So it did take me 10 years to get diagnosed. I was one of the unfortunate people that went to the doctors, and because I was so young and like personally like my mum wasn't clued up on endometriosis or anything like that, I did go on the pill for a very long time. I went on the pill until I was 21 years old. So from 14, 15 to 21, I didn't have any periods and I didn't feel any of obviously the symptoms from it because I didn't have the periods. Like I've just gone into like part of the story there when I was trying to tell you who I am. I'm a full-time wedding singer and I also do social media part-time as well. I really want to use this platform to bring awareness all about endo. I do a lot of fashion stuff on my page as well because that is where I found a lot of my happiness. And if you do want to go check anything out, like I say, I'll leave it down below, but let's get into it. Also, if you're wondering why I want to share this story now, as I've said before, I just don't want you to feel alone. I want you to feel like you're literally on FaceTime to your friend and I'm telling you my journey. I also find it really helpful to write stuff down. So if you've watched this and you want to write down your journey after that, so it's like you're trying to tell me your journey, I really highly recommend. Okay, I'm just going to say I'm not a doctor, I am not a gynecologist, so I do want to give you what comes up when you search what is endometriosis. So endometriosis is a condition where tissue similar to the uterine lining grows outside of the uterus. So it's most commonly in the pelvis, causing inflammation, pain and potentially fertility issues. I feel like that is literally the most vague line of endo that you can probably ever have. But I've just googled it, that's what's going to come up when I google it. That's probably what people are going to tell you if you asked what endo is. So that's just a short form, but hopefully when I go through my journey and stuff in this video, it sort of gives you a little bit more of an idea of what it's all about. So before I look at anything on my phone, I do just want to tell you my sort of like reality of it all and how everything came about. So when I was about 14, I believe, I came on my period. I was quite late in comparison to other girls in my year. I remember that. I remember thinking, when is my period coming? And I actually remember when it came on because my mum wasn't in the house and I am one of three. So I have an older brother and I have a younger sister. So she was really young at the time and my brother is a boy. So I think I told him when I did come on my period because my mum wasn't in the house, but I don't think he could do anything like to help me. And I think I just got myself in the bath because I remember thinking, wow, this is painful. Like, I remember thinking, surely not. Like, I know that I'm going to have this now for, you know, a massive chunk of my life. And I almost sort of envied the girl that I was before and thought, why have I wished for something to come on for me to feel older when it's come on and it's the most horrific thing in the world? And I remember having a few periods and saying to my mum, like, I'm in so much pain. And I feel like you can really relate to this, but parents always go, oh, when I was younger and my period came on, your nan made me walk 5 miles and I also was in pain, but you know, you just get on with it. And I thought, right, okay, I'm going to have to get on with it. Like, this is what it's going to be. And I remember just so many times lying like on the floor and thinking, I feel like I'm dying. Like, I feel like someone is literally twisting my insides. And it was horrific. So I did go to the doctors and they did actually put me on a pill. It stopped my period. And I'll touch on this a little bit more later, but it did stop my period completely. I then got horrific migraines from the pill, and then I went back to the doctors and they just put me on another pill. And then when I got to about 21, and I feel like I was like, I've been taking this pill for God knows how many years, and I was single at the time, so I was just like, I don't even need it for contraception purposes, like whatever. I thought, I don't know what I'm putting in my body, and it really freaked me out. Like, it really scared me, and I just was like, I need to come off it. I just thought, no more, like, I'm not taking it anymore. I don't know how safe that is, or if you maybe should like speak to a doctor, but I just thought, I'm not doing it anymore, like no way. So I stopped taking my pill, and I remember my period taking a few months to come back into like its normal cycle. And when it did, and because obviously I'm 26 now, so this was 5 years ago and it's very fresh in my brain, I remember I can see it so vividly. I was in my mum's, she was in a different house at the time, and I was in her living room, and I remember lying on the floor and I was in agony, and I think I said to my sister, like, can you stand on my back, because I was thinking anything would be better than this pain that I'm feeling, like anything would be better than that. But I was very adamant that I didn't want to go back on the pill, like I just didn't, and I thought, if this is what I'm going to have to deal with, this is what I'm going to have to deal with. So I did deal with them periods. Now, I met my boyfriend when at the end of 2020, so when I was 21, and I don't remember the start of our relationship ever being like, oh God, like this period's horrible or anything like that. I don't remember anything like that, but I do remember it kicking in a little bit more and me feeling like the pain was getting worse. And obviously I hadn't experienced a long period of time having that, because as soon as I got into pain, the doctors were like, on the pill you go. And I sat with it for a while, and I always would like have a hot water bottle and stuff, and I just thought, this isn't normal. And then I was starting to bleed through pads. The amount of times that I've bled through trousers, bed sheets, I've bled on a sofa. We had to wash all of the cushions because I was just sat there watching TV, and I stood up and there was blood everywhere. So I just thought, this really isn't normal. And I saw a girl that I used to go to school with post on her story talk about endometriosis. And when she spoke about it, she spoke about cysts and like painful cysts and stuff like that. And I thought, surely I don't have a cyst. Like, I don't think it would be like that would be the case. But I reached out to her and I said, look, I'm really sorry, like, if you don't want to talk about this, like, please tell me to sod off if you don't. But I would love to talk to you a little bit more about your endo, because I suffer the most horrific periods, and I don't know if I'm being dramatic. I don't know if maybe it sounds a little bit like endo to you. I know you're not a doctor, but just anything would honestly help. And she said to me, like, you sound like you've got symptoms that are endo. She's like, I don't want to like tell you something that might not be true. And she was like, but I definitely go get it checked out. So I was on the wait list on the NHS, and I hadn't heard anything for months and months and months. And I was just like, this is getting ridiculous. Like, I'm in so much pain. And I was in a fortunate enough position where I could spend the money to go and see the gynaecologist privately. I'm going to be so honest and open with you about this. I spent £200 on the appointment. And even my dad was saying to me, like, I know it's £200. I'm self-employed as well, so like sometimes money is very, very slim. And my dad was like, I know it's £200, but if you could get an answer for something, that would be worth it to me, like to go and spend that £200. And I thought, yeah, you're so right. And also my mindset was, I am paying for this, so I am going to get my half an hour's worth of my appointment. You're not just going to fob me off. I paid privately and I saw the doctor the next day, the gynecologist the next day, who is the gynecologist that I was waiting to see on the NHS waitlist. And I went in and he felt all around like my stomach, and I can't remember. He did an internal scan. Yes, he did an internal scan. And I remember it being really uncomfortable. He used his fingers. Again, I'm going into so much detail, but I won't hold anything back. And I remember feeling very uncomfortable and very out of place, and that's nothing to do with him. He made me feel like very comfortable. He was obviously just doing like a procedure, but I just couldn't believe it was happening. I just thought, what is going on here? And he said to me, no, I don't feel anything. He was like, nothing feels out of the ordinary. But then when I read my notes from him, he did say that he felt something that felt like a little tense, and a little bit, I can't remember the specific wording, but I thought, I'm not letting this go. So I wanted to see him again, and I very quickly realised that anything that you do privately, you can't then take that to the NHS. You have to go through the channels again. So I had to go back on the wait list, which is fine. And then I saw him again and he was like, what's the problem? Like, I've seen you before. And I was like, yeah. And I was like, there's definitely something wrong. And he basically said to me, like, are you planning on having children? And I was a bit like, I hope to have children one day, but it's not something that like I'm thinking about now. And he was like, well, if you think about children, I'd do it now because you're in your prime. You've said you've got a partner. I'd do it now because the longer you leave it, the more that it's going to fade. And I was like, whoa, I think I was 25 at the time. And I thought, shit, I'm going to have a baby. Otherwise, I'm never going to be able to have one. Anyway, I requested to see him again because I thought this is getting silly. Like, I shouldn't have to make a life decision. And also, everything he was giving me was so willy-nilly. Nothing was in depth. Everything I asked him, he almost like laughed back at me and was a bit like, no, don't be silly. And then I saw somebody who worked underneath him, and she was brilliant. She basically put me on the waiting list for a laparoscopy, and she also sent me for an MRI. So I went for an MRI in the December of 2024. I'm the worst person with needles, with procedures, with hospitals. I took my boyfriend with me, but he obviously had to wait in the waiting room. And I also got told that I'd have to have, what's it called? They basically had to put a needle in my arm here so they could put something around my body when I was in the machine. And they did tell me that prior. Because I don't like needles, I got there and she said, right, we're going to have to put a cannula in your arm. And I said, well, nobody told me about that. And I was like thinking, I'll get away with it. Like, don't worry about it. And she was like, well, unfortunately, like, to do the procedure, we are going to have to, like, put the needle in. I was like, right, okay. Once she did it, it was fine. Yeah, once she did it, it was absolutely fine. And then I went in for the MRI. They basically put something through the needle and it just made my whole body go cold. And I had the worst smell ever. Like, it smelled really metally. And I was in there for 45 minutes and then basically my results came back that said I have endometriosis. Now, I'm going to be very clear and very specific about this. I've been diagnosed with endometriosis, but I don't know what level of endometriosis I am, because endometriosis is a chronic illness that has to be diagnosed by an operation, which is the laparoscopy. And I'm not going to give you like my personal thoughts and feelings on it because you might have a different experience to me, but I have spoken to quite a few women who have either had to have numerous of laparoscopies or they've had a laparoscopy and their endometriosis is growing back worse. And yeah, I haven't had it yet. That's the honest truth. They called me up for it. I'm a wedding singer. It was in the middle of summer. I had to say no. They put me back on the wait list, but I appreciate there are so many women out there who have been waiting for the longest time, and I'd rather them go in before me. I was supposed to be called up in December, and I never heard anything. But yeah, that's where I sit on the operation side. But that is basically my experience of my diagnosis. I know that it's quite niche because a lot of people have messaged me and been like, oh, you've clearly had the operation, and the answer is no, I haven't. I have got endometriosis on one of my ovaries and my bowel as well. Who knows if they went in there if they could find more. I've heard women be told that they don't have endometriosis, they've had the laparoscopy and they've been at stage 4, which is the worst stage. So I do just think take everything with a pinch of salt, and really trust your body and advocate for yourself. I'm so proud of myself because did I say that I went to the doctors? I've completely missed that off. I went to the doctors before I went to the gynecologist because she had to refer me. And she almost, again, like laughed in my face. I went to her and I said, look, something's not right with my periods. This happens, this happens, this happens. I've been researching into endometriosis and I really feel like it's got something to do with it. Now, normally, if someone said to me, no, absolutely not, I'd go, you're the expert, 100%, sorry to waste your time. But she tried to put me on the pill again, and I said, no, I don't want to go on the pill. She asked me if I wanted the coil. I said, no, I don't want the coil. She asked me if I wanted every single contraception thing under the planet, and I said, no. I said, I'm telling you now, like, something isn't okay and something is wrong. And she said, right, okay. She said, I don't think anything's wrong. She was like, but I will refer you to a gynecologist if that makes you feel better. And I said, yeah, it would make me feel better. Please refer me right now. And that's how I got the referral to the gynecologist. I'm so sorry that I missed that out. It's why I should follow my phone rather than just like rambling. But that was basically how I came to learn that I've got endometriosis and all of the bits in between. My journey is quite bit and bobby because when I was on my pill, like I said, I didn't really feel anything. So there was a big chunk of time. But yeah, that was my journey. So I'm going to talk about what it's like to live with endometriosis, and it's completely changed my life. It's changed my friendships, it's changed my relationship, it has changed my work life, it's changed so much. I was really fortunate before I became a full-time wedding singer that I worked fully remote. So when I had really bad days, I would basically just be able to sit on my sofa and work, which was a godsend. And I remember coming off my pill, and I was actually in an office then. Sorry, this is a magpie. I was in an office then, and I remember walking in one day and one of my co-workers saying, Libby, you're white, like you're literally white. And as soon as I got heat on me and took so much medication, later on the day she was like, the colour has come back to you. She was like, that's good. And I just didn't think anything of it at the time, but it's completely changed the way that my life is, and I know that a lot of you will relate to this. So one of the things that endo will change, or you'll feel a bit of a difference, is in sex, 100%. And I want to be honest and open about that because I feel like it's a thing that isn't spoken about a lot, but a lot of you will feel it. And I do genuinely believe when you're with the right person, you'll feel safe and it will feel, you know, fine and better. But there is people out there that I can imagine if you say, you know, let me just give you a bit of an idea. So at the minute, my cycle, 2 weeks before I start my period, I'm in pure agony, like pure agony. And I will be in agony up until my period. And sometimes I can feel great on my period. Sometimes it would knock me for like 2 days, or sometimes it would knock me for 5. Whatever it is, you're looking at 2.5 weeks at least out of a month of me feeling not great. And for some people that might be a massive toll on their relationship because, by the way, I'm going by natural sunlight for this video, so if it keeps going down, I do apologise. But it can be a massive strain on a relationship because some people might not understand, and that's fine, but I just don't think they're the person for you. I can say to my boyfriend, like, I'm in agony, and he will just fully, like, hear me, and that will be the last thing in his brain. Like, he's not gonna, like, be like, right, let's go jump in bed. Like, that's the last thing on his brain. In his brain is, okay, what can I do to make her feel better, etc, etc, etc. But just know that sex does change, and if you're thinking that you've got endo, or you're having sex and you're in pain when you're having it, that might be a sign that you do have endo, or there is something there. I don't have enough research on PCOS or any other sort of women's health problems, so I am just speaking off of my experience. But I'm just saying, like, if anything ever feels out of place, don't think that, like, you're crazy. Like, that, you know, it might just be a sign that you change your friendships as well. I am very lucky that one of my best friends, this sounds really like a backhanded compliment, one of my best friends has endometriosis, and it's one of the things that we really connected on. She is basically the girlfriend of one of my boyfriend's friends, and we weren't close at all until we started speaking about endo. I need to get comfortable, guys. Yeah, we weren't close at all until we started speaking about endo, and I obviously won't go into her experience, but if you do want maybe for us to do like a video together and I can ask her about her experience, she is a little bit further along in the process than me and has had a different experience, so it would definitely be beneficial to get her on if you did want to hear anything. But I'm quite lucky that I have cancelled many things with her and she's like absolutely fine, no questions asked. Where there is people that I think you're not making the effort, or it's a you problem, or you've completely changed, and it's really hard to describe to somebody that you can be fine one day and wake up the next and completely be knocked off your feet. When I came on my period last month, I was fine for the day. I started my period at 12 and I was a complete goner for the day. Like, Alex had to run me a bath, I had to stay in there for hours, I was on the bed, I was rolling around, I was in pure agony, and if I had any plans that afternoon I wouldn't have made it. Like, unfortunately I just wouldn't have made it. I am a wedding singer, so I obviously do come on my period when I'm at weddings or I have a wedding, and I do have to suck it up and go, and I know that sounds really harsh for me to say because there is no sucking it up, but I have to go. It's somebody's wedding day. I would never let them down. It can change the relationship with like your family as well. Like, some people don't understand, and you do sometimes resent people because you think, I wouldn't want you to understand, but if you could just like take yourself out of your bubble and just sort of like see what I'm telling you and stuff. I'm very, 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 very lucky that I do have a very understanding and appreciative family and friends. I tell my dad everything. Like, I go into so much detail because if I'm talking to him and my stepmom, like, he's always there, and I don't know how much he appreciates that, but I feel so comfortable in telling him, and he never makes me feel like, oh, Libby, like, I don't want to hear that, like, I'm a man, I don't understand, I don't experience that. He actually recommended some medication to me, and him and my stepmom actually bought me my best friend for Christmas, which is this hot water bottle that you basically wrap around like your stomach or your back. I used it last night because I woke up in agony at 2 a.m. last night, and this was my saviour. I honestly had the best time, well, not the best time, but I put it on and I was like, that is like an instant release. So yeah, having friends and family that are understanding of your situation is a massive thing. And I also think if you sit down with somebody and you explain the way that you feel and they still don't understand it, that is not your problem. You have to let them do their thing. They can either be there for you or they cannot. But yeah, I'm very appreciative that I have a lot of people around me that advocate for me, that understand and are incredible. I'll talk about the symptoms that I've experienced, but I do just want to say that everyone there's not enough research on endo, and everyone's experience is really, really different. So if you're listening to this and you're in pain, or you've had certain symptoms and they're not the same as mine, please do still go and get them checked out, because they could be completely different. Okay, so my biggest symptom was pain, and it's always in my back, it's always in my lower back. I feel like someone is getting my insides and twisting them, and it's really intense. Like, it takes over your whole body, which sounds crazy when I talk about it, like, but you do feel like it completely just, you can't move. Like, that's how I describe it. If I have a TENS machine on, I have to turn it to at least 12 to feel like I'm getting like a different pain. Do you know what I mean? Like, it basically like distracts me from the pain that I'm feeling. I don't know how I feel about my TENS machine yet. I don't know if it's just because I just got one willy-nilly. Anyway, I'll come on to that soon. But yeah, I've always had really bad backache. It is on a scale of 1 to 10. When it gets to its worst, I would say that it's definitely a 10. There's been a time that I can remember when I've been with my boyfriend where I've thought, I'm gonna have to go in an ambulance. Like, I was on the floor and I couldn't move. There was blood everywhere. Like, it was just horrific. So yeah, I always get back pain. It completely drains my body. Like, I feel like I've got nothing left inside of me. I'm probably moody, like, leading up to my period, and then I'm fine, like, once it comes. But my biggest thing is the pain. Like, that's my biggest thing that I could call out, and the bleeding. So I wear postpartum pads now, because all of the normal period pads don't cut it. I do go onto a normal period pad sort of like further into my period, but I always have to wear postpartum pads because I just bleed through everything, and I sometimes bleed through them as well, which is absolutely crazy. But yeah, I have to have a thick pad because the bleeding is uncontrollable, and I have started to clot now as well. So I don't know if maybe my endo's getting worse since the last time I got seen, because I haven't been seen in a year by anyone medical about it. So yeah, I am starting to get a few clots, and I know that was a big symptom of the girl that I spoke to originally, when she was saying like about cysts and clots and stuff. So they are my personal experiences, but let me just search what the most common ones are. Okay, so I've just searched some of the most common symptoms, and I just completely forgot to mention some to you. So some of the pains that I also get is pelvic pain. That's a really weird one for me because it's not as bad as the back pain, but it's definitely there. I also bleed from my bum. So every time my period comes, a week before, I always bleed from my bum. I think that's because I've got endo on my bowel. You also can experience severe pelvic pain, heavy bleeding, pain during sex, fatigue, and difficulty getting pregnant. That is a completely different story that I will go on to, but they are the most common symptoms if you Google it. But as I've said, it's not researched enough. There could be something completely niche that you've got that means that you've got endo that might not be a symptom of somebody else. When I talk about this section, I do just want to say I'm going on to talk about fertility. If this is a really hard subject for you, then please don't feel like you have to watch this part of the video. Fertility is a really hard thing to talk about because it's really different for everybody. And my first question when I saw my gynecologist was, am I going to be able to have children? I've always dreamed of being a mum. I love kids. I'm very maternal. I can't wait to become a mum, actually. And the answer to me was, I don't know. I don't know if you'll be able to have children. You won't know until you try. And I obviously got told to try straight away. As you can see, I'm not pregnant. It was a conversation that came up in our relationship because obviously I was panicked. But I do think I refuse to be rushed into something and a life decision and a child on something that I've basically just been told to do straight away and rush because I don't know if you're going to be able to have children, so you need to try now. Like, I refuse to make that life decision and also put that on my partner as well. Like, it's a really hard, tough, difficult thing. I am 26 years old, so I am still really young. I am not completely like financially stable. This is all like very hard subject to talk about, because I know that's not all the things that you need when you have a child. Please know that if we did have a child, it would be very loved, whatever situation we'd be in. But we personally just weren't ready as a couple, and I think that is completely fine. And I think if you're getting told to have children straight away, if that is something you want to do, then absolutely. But if you are thinking, I'm just making this decision because my gynecologist has just told me that I'm not going to be able to have kids if I wait in a year's time, I do think that you shouldn't be rushed into something because of that. And I almost went through a bit of a period where I thought, am I going to hate myself if I get to the age of 29 and we try and get pregnant and it might not be possible and it might not happen for me? And I just think you can't think like that. You just can't, because you're not ready, and that is just a thing about it. But fertility is a huge thing with endo and women's health and stuff in general. If that is something that, you know, is a massive thing that's on your mind, you can do all sorts of things. You can go and get your fertility checked. You can go and speak to a specialist about it. I just think don't be rushed into something just because your gynecologist has said that to you. That is just my little piece of advice. I massively struggled and am struggling with the grief of my former self, because I do feel like when I was in them periods of on my pill, I feel like I potentially could have been a happier person because I wasn't aware of what was going on. But I do think you're putting a plaster over the situation and you are going to have to deal with it one day. That's if you want to. You can obviously stay on the pill and stuff, but I struggle massively looking at 21-year-old Libby to looking at 26-year-old Libby, because a lot of things have changed. I bloat all the time. I'm not always body confident. I've put weight on. I've lost weight. I have had really bad acne. I struggled sometimes to hate my body because I think, wow, you're putting me in a serious amount of pain. I sometimes feel awful for putting all of this onto my boyfriend and my family, and I know that they care for me and they worry about me, and I think sometimes you think, I don't want my family to have to feel like that. Like, it is sometimes a massive mentally challenging thing. It does go through my mind about thinking about children, like, am I going to be able to have children? My boyfriend is 6 years older than me, so if we did start to think about children when I'm in my late 20s, he'll be in his mid to late 30s, and I just think, am I putting us on a bit of like a time limit? There's a lot of things that run through my mind, and there's a lot of things where I do struggle. Like, I can't have certain food, I can't wear certain clothes. I have to, like, if I'm on my period when I'm on holiday, it just completely ruins the mood. So I do think there is a thing of having grief for your former self before you actually was aware of endometriosis and chronic illness and all stuff like that. But I do just want to say you are an incredible human. If you experience this pain every single month or whenever it comes along, and you continue to show up and be yourself and put your best foot forward every single day, I think that is a massive superpower and something that isn't spoken about enough. I have heard people say, and it's people that I know, I've heard people say, I'm sick of these women jumping on the bandwagon of endo, like, can't be that bad, can it? And that itself makes me angry, because people are so uneducated, and I can guarantee that if men struggled with this problem, it would be something that was looked at so much more. I think as women we are just overseen, and I think endo is spoken about a lot more nowadays, and so there's a lot of people coming out talking about their experiences. No one's jumping on a bandwagon. I think the statistic, if I remember correctly, is 1 in 10 women have endometriosis. So think about how many women that is. That's just endo alone. You've then got PCOS. You've got women that have cysts on their ovaries and stuff like that. There is so many things out there that we're so uneducated on that you're literally a superhuman, and don't let anybody ever tell you anything different. It's also really scary and nerve-wracking because there's a lot of unknown. I'd say that with endo, there's a lot of unknown. You can only be diagnosed if you have an operation. In terms of like the stage of endo that you are. I do feel very lucky that mine was seen on an MRI, because I know that I've got it, I just don't know what level I've got it at, where some girls have to go and have that operation to give themselves a peace of mind, and still then, you know, it doesn't come. There's also a lot of like medical terms thrown out there that like scare women as well. I got told that I could be put into my early menopause, which means that I wouldn't be able to have children, and you know, like my ovaries would stop working. I have been told that I could have them removed. I could potentially have to have like my bowel removed. There is so many like different things that are thrown out there that are quite daunting. And I just want to, you know, say that I'm always here. My inbox is always open, and definitely, you know, seek comfort in your friends and your family, and don't be fobbed off by people. I didn't particularly gel with my gynecologist, and therefore I think one day I will get how do I word this? One day I will probably look somewhere else and see if I can actually find an endo specialist. But don't be fobbed off or told something that you don't believe is true about your body. Takes me on to now, the present, right now, on this day, the 7th of January. And I just want to say it's not all doom and gloom. The reason that I started my social media, which is Styled by Libby May, is because fashion brought me a sense of happiness and pride and colours and all stuff like that. But also, I love finding fashion that makes me feel comfortable and sharing that with you girls. Don't get me wrong, last summer there's a few dresses that I tried on and I probably wouldn't even put them on now because your body changes and stuff like that. But I've absolutely loved and will continue to love finding outfits that make you feel confident, because I think a part of feeling confident and feeling happy in yourself is showing up every single day, and having a cute nice little outfit put together is a part of that. I'm also signed up to run a 10k for endometriosis, so I'm also going to be doing a little bit of like a journey on that. But something that I have decided I'm going to do is the AIP diet. Now, if you don't know what the AIP diet is, I didn't either until today. This is very current, fresh and new. It is a diet where you basically cut out a lot of food. So you cut out dairy, you cut out wheat, you basically cut out a lot of processed foods, and you go back to basics of you can only have certain meat, veg and fruit for phase 1. You do this for 30 days, and then phase 2 is you start to reintroduce different foods every 3 days to see how you react to that food. I decided that I want to do this because last night, and you can go see this on my Instagram in my endo stories, I had the girls over and we had a girly night, and I had a little bit of garlic bread. I indulged in garlic bread, and I woke up, it was repeating on me and I just didn't think anything of it. I woke up at 2 a.m. in the worst endo pain ever. I thought I needed a wee to start off with, and I thought, oh god, that's really painful. But it was the worst endo pain ever. It kept me up for a good few hours. I woke up at 2 a.m. and I was like, ooh, that hurts. And I've decided that I want to start taking things into my own hands. There is another content creator that talks a lot of stuff. Let me quickly find her. There is a content creator called Sophie Richards. I believe that she is actually a woman's... What is she? Has endometriosis, and she is a woman's health support, I believe. And she actually, I came across her page and she did this and she said it changed her life and it changed the pains and it changed basically the way that like she saw food and everything like that. So I have decided that I'm also going to take part in that challenge and I'm going to vlog it for you. So I'm going to be probably doing like weekly vlogs where I upload it once a week of basically doing the meals. Now let me tell you some of the things that you can have. So in terms of meats, you can have grass-fed beef, chicken, turkey, salmon and cod. Now you can have a bit more than all this stuff, but this is the stuff that I've written down because I do have quite a few things that I'm allergic to. Veg, you can have spinach, kale, lettuce, broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels, cabbage, sweet potatoes, carrots, parsnips, squash. You can have cucumber, asparagus, onions, mushrooms, strawberries, raspberries, bananas, olives and avocado. You also need to be using 100% olive oil. The herbs that you can have is salt, basil, rosemary, oregano, mint and cinnamon. And the drinks I've written down is water and peppermint tea. And that is for 3 meals a day for 30 days. And I am going to do it, okay? I've decided that I'm going to do it. I want to see how it changes my pain and how it changes my whole outlook on endo. So if you do want to follow me along, make sure that you do subscribe to this page because I will be documenting this whole process and I'll also be documenting my running as well. I might put them into like one and just do like a weekly recap of all of that. But I am so determined to take this into my own hands and teach myself and educate myself as well. I am also going to London tomorrow to go buy the book that Sophie has actually come out with as well because she's come out with recipes that you can do with all of them ingredients. So I'm very, very, very excited. Basically where I'm going to try and go with my endo in the next stage. So I thought this video was very current and very needed for me to give you the backstory of my experience and my life. But like I say, if you do want to learn more or know more, I have documented a lot of my endo over on my Instagram, and if you follow me you'll see it in real time. Like I always upload, like if I'm up at 2 AM in the morning, I'm like, right, I need someone to like relate to, so I always just put it on my story and stuff like that. Okay, I'm gonna end this video off with a few questions that I've got. I'm gonna try and go quick fire. My boyfriend is picking up from the train station, so I need to leave. So question number 1 is, what does a good day versus a bad day look like for you? Again, you can see this in my stories on my Instagram. A good day is probably at like the start of the month, for argument's sake. Like after my period's gone, I feel very fresh, I feel very renewed, not nude. I can get in the shower and wipe myself with a towel without worrying about where blood's going. I can put a pair of pants on without worrying about what pad I'm wearing or what pill I'm taking, or do I need to take my hot water bottle with me. Just a nice fresh day. And I'd say a bad day in comparison to that is when my endo pains start to come on. I would maybe say like a week before my period is when I'm in agony. I don't have any energy, I want to eat everything in sight, I feel frumpy, I feel bloated, and it just completely knocks me for 6. What's the hardest part that people don't see? I would just say living with endo in general. Like my boyfriend, bless him, sees a lot and he is honestly my absolute rock. Like if I'm in pain, he will try and do everything possible. He'll run me a bath, he'll do my hot water bottle, he'll go to the shop, he'll get me pads, he'll get me tablets. And I think that's what people don't see. I think people just think you've had a bad day, you have like one day where you're probably like, oh, I'm bleeding and it's a bit painful. But I'd say just living with it day to day is what's hard. Like people don't see the day to day of it. You handle guilt when you need to rest. I'll get back to you on that one because it takes a lot for me to rest. And all of my friends say to me, Libby, you need to rest. Or Alex will say to me, like, stay in bed a little bit. But I am just constantly like wanting to better myself. And if that means dragging myself out of bed when I could have that extra 10 minutes, I do. Which probably isn't the best, so I need to work on that myself. What's something that you wish the doctors understood better? When someone is coming in and telling you that something is wrong, I wish that they understood that putting someone on the pill or putting someone on the coil might, you know, make their day go better, because we're going to go away, we're going to go on the pill and our period's going to disappear, so we're not going to, you know, feel it. But I wish that they would make you feel heard, and I wish that you'd walk in and you could lay everything on the table and not feel silly walking out. Like, I wish you could walk out feeling I was heard. And that might be a lot of doctors, but I didn't have that experience, so I just wish that they'd make you have a little bit more of a comfortable space. What surprised you most with living with endo? I think I've surprised myself the most with how much pain I can be in and how I deal with it. I think if you have pain monthly and you know that it's coming, I dread it. Honestly, I think, oh God, it's coming. But every month I surprise myself because I get through it again and again and again. And I think that is what I surprise myself with the most. Has your style changed since having endo? I've definitely started to dress more for my comfortability and my body, but also I think people have a misconception that that's wearing like baggy trousers, a baggy jumper, something that like you're not going to feel sexy and or cute in or whatever. My outfit right now is so cute. I've got a pink cardigan on from Topshop. It is creased and set down. And these gingham red trousers from Threadbare, and I feel so cute. Or in the summer I can wear a pair of shorts and a graphic t-shirt. I think there's days where you could wear a bikini and feel comfortable, and there's days where you couldn't because you feel so bloated. So I definitely say that my style has changed, but I also think that's just getting older as well. Like, I don't want to wear short skirts and stuff like that. Like, I want to dress to feel cute and comfortable. So I definitely say it's just to find that comfortability, but also feeling and looking cute. Like, I don't feel like I look like I've just sewn on loads of baggy clothes so you can't see me. Do you know what I mean? Okay, last question. What would I say to someone who's been recently diagnosed with endometriosis? And this is where I'm going to end the video. I would say, you have got this. You can advocate for yourself. You should be so proud of yourself. It's going to be a journey that you're going to go on, and I believe that it's going to be a continuous journey. I don't think when you get diagnosed with endo, that is the end and you're like, okay, hallelujah, wonderful. I genuinely believe that you are incredible and that you should believe in yourself, and I just want to say that there is so many resources out there, and if you don't feel comfortable with the first opinion that you get, go to get another. Make sure you've got supportive family and friends around you, and yeah, make sure that you subscribe to these videos, because hopefully we can also do something about our day-to-day life that will help as well. I'm hoping that's what this API diet is going to do. Is it AIP? API? I don't know. Thank you so much for watching this video. I honestly hope that that gave some of you a peace of mind, or answered some questions, or made some people feel seen. If you do like these videos that are about endo, make sure that you let me know down below. Subscribe, follow me on Instagram, and I will see you next time, which hopefully is going to be a video all on our new diet changes.